So how do we maintain our resilience? Got to look for the positive aspects. And this isn't Pollyanna thinking. This isn't toxic positivity, my friends. I'm going to give you some really cool ways to do this. You must set your intentions and expectations, and you have a mechanism in your brain that is going to help you do this. It's called the reticular activating system. I'm Elissa Shuck, ex-corporate hiring manager, middle manager turned leadership and career coach. It wasn't all that long ago that I experienced layoffs, narcissistic bosses, toxic work environments, and leadership challenges that had me wondering, why in the world did I ever get into management? But I've also had 12 career promotions. I co-founded a company. I've made multiple industry pivots and turned around poor performing teams. I've achieved everything I set out to do and imagined that I could do in my career. I created the Love Your Work Life podcast to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. If you're a high-achieving employee and leader, or you're one in the making who's looking to create a career instead of letting it happen on default, who wants a work life that feels happy and satisfying, you're in the right place, my friend. Let's get started. You all know how I love doing polls on LinkedIn. I am just fascinated by how people answer. And, you know, the polls are kind of limited. I can usually only give 4 options. And this last one was a question about what is the hardest part of a job search. And it was, distractions. It was job searching while you're working. And the third option was maintaining positivity and resilience. And guess which one is winning the poll? With depending on where you look at it, either on my personal page or in a group where I posted the poll, it is 60 to 70% positivity and resilience. So I'm really excited to share this episode with you because resilience isn't just about a job search. Resilience is about staying cool in a crisis or managing a workplace that is controlled chaos, managing a team that's very demanding or a boss that's very demanding. Resilience is how we get through all kinds of things. So how do we maintain our resilience? Well, got to look for the positive aspects. And this isn't Pollyanna thinking. This isn't toxic positivity, my friends. I'm going to give you some really cool ways to do this. You must set your intentions and expectations, and you have a mechanism in your brain that is going to help you do this. It's called the reticular activating system. So the first thing is be curious. When you're looking for positive aspects, like I said, this isn't positive affirmations or toxic positivity. This is curiosity. This is asking yourself some questions like, what is working? Look for that. Ask, if you're not sure, ask yourself a question like this. If there is something to enjoy, what would it be? Here's another one. How can I reframe blank? How can I reframe the meeting? How can I reframe that conversation? How can I reframe that interaction so I feel better? It's about you feeling better. Those are the positive aspects that you're really looking for. What is keeping me here? Trust me. I walked out of terrible meetings day after day and asked myself that question. What's keeping me here? And I had some things that were keeping me there, and you might too. But focusing on those will help diffuse the anxiety and stress that those toxic interactions and that toxic soup, as I like to call it, is doing to yourself, is doing to your self-esteem. Next, it's about being intentional. This is a really great way to set up your day for success, to set up your day to show, to end up the way you want it to end up. And you do this by breaking your day into segments. So before you walk in the building, ask yourself, big picture, what do I want to happen today? Think about it, ponder it for a few minutes. If you've got a few minutes before you get out of your vehicle, then have a notebook with you and write it down. What do I intend to happen? Wanting something and intending are two different things. Intending something and expecting something, that's another level. So it's the same topic, but you're walking yourself through these three levels of that topic. Here's an example from, something completely non-work. Say you want to go on vacation. I want to go on vacation. I want to go to Disneyland. So what do? You start planning. You start intending for it to happen because you're doing some research. You're looking up the cost. Should we drive? Should we fly? How much it costs to get into the park? All those things. That's intent. Once you finalize that intent in your plans and you buy the tickets, what's happening next? You're expecting. You are going. It is going to happen. This is a way that you can help train your brain to experience the feelings in advance of a great day, of a great meeting. And I say, break it into segments. Do this for every little thing that happens throughout the day. Anytime you go into a new segment of your day, reading emails, go through this exercise, because trust me, toxic can happen in an email too, right? You know that as well as I do. So do this exercise, because here is what I know is nothing happens between you and you unless you transfer the belief and enthusiasm. That's what you're really trying to do. You're trying to sell yourself. A sale is a transfer of belief and enthusiasm. So you might have to sell yourself a little bit. And this is a perfect way to do that. And now be smart. This is about using your brain, your reticular activating system. It's a network of neurons located in the brainstem that, among other functions, act as a gatekeeper for sensory information. It filters incoming stimuli to prioritize significant inputs and prevent sensory overload. What you focus on is what you see and what you experience. That is the job of your reticular activating system. If you want to spend a little bit more time there, you could Google this. There are tons of articles on it. Hey, even go to Perplexity AI. That's one of my new favorite AI research tools, because it'll give you citations. If you want to put it in, you can go read articles. Mel Robbins talks about the reticular activating system. And one of the things she does is every day she says to herself, to prove her reticular activating system is working, is that I want to see hearts all day long. I'm going to be aware. I'm going to focus on hearts and I'm going to see hearts, and it works. Another really great way that I've seen in my own life, and you might have too, is once you decide to buy a new car, it's a big purchase. You're doing a lot of research. You're focusing on it. You've picked the color, you picked the car, make and model. And it's something that you're pondering and you're focusing on. You're putting a lot of energy in your brain towards that. Well, guess what happens pretty quickly after you give it some focus? You start seeing that car everywhere. That is your reticular activating system. Those cars were already there. It's just the filters change. You told your brain this is important to me. So your brain turned off certain filters, opened other ones up, and now it's showing it to you. So it could be a car, it could be a handbag, it could be anything. When you focus on it, your brain starts showing it to you. That's why when you start looking for the positive aspects, that's why when you start doing those segmented intentions during the day, you will start feeling better because your brain will start showing you the things that help you feel better. Here's the thing. A lot of people will tell you, oh, just take action. You'll feel more confident. You'll build your resilience. Like confidence comes from actions. No, it doesn't. Confidence comes from your thoughts. It doesn't come from experience. It doesn't come from a track record of success. It doesn't come from other people validating you. Your confidence comes from what you are thinking about any given circumstance. This is where some of the life coaching comes in when I'm coaching clients, because they're coming into a session having all kinds of thoughts. They don't value me. This is terrible. I don't know how much longer I can take it. I feel like I've got a ceiling that I can't break through. Those words are narratives, thoughts running around in your brain, and they're not conducive to confidence. But here's the coolest thing. I've been studying the map of consciousness of Dr. David Hawkins, and this was like this boom, mind-blowing bit of knowledge that I got from him. Our power comes back at neutral. When he maps the consciousness, he's mapping emotions and levels of consciousness and whether they take our power away or whether they increase our power. And there's levels of power being gone and levels of power starting to increase and gain some momentum. And you get your power back at neutral. So that's what I said. You don't even have to have these like super positive, everything's rainbows and butterflies kinds of thoughts. You just have to say something like, it's not about me. I know what I'm doing. I've got this. You don't have to get specific. You just have to find a thought that feels better. It's about deciding what to think on purpose. I will not stop believing in myself under any circumstance. Maybe you have that tucked away on your phone somewhere or in a notebook. And when you encounter that toxic person, maybe that's your go-to thought. Maybe that's your bookends, right? You say it to yourself before you walk in and you repeat it after you go out. And now you are reframing. Now are you cultivating confidence? You can say something like, I value my opinion of myself more highly than others' opinions about me. Thinking on purpose means trying on different thoughts for size and just picking the ones that feel better. Super simple. And then the ones that feel good, write them down. Put them on a sticky note. Look at them often. Remind yourself how awesome you are. And here's why thoughts are so important. Because thoughts create feelings, feelings motivate actions, and actions produce results. So if you're thinking a thought that doesn't feel good, you will never be motivated to take action to do the thing. And don't fool yourself. Inaction is still an action. It's just passive. It's still a choice that you're making. When you're avoiding action, pay attention to the feeling behind it. What am I feeling? I feel defeated. Okay, I feel defeated. What am I thinking that's making me feel defeated? When you identify that thought that's making you feel a certain way, that's preventing you from taking action, you can choose a new intentional thought to create a better feeling that drives the action, the resilience, all the things. A great quote from Viktor Frankl comes to mind here. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. This is a man that was in probably one of the worst situations in our history. None of us in our lifetime will ever experience anything as harsh as he did, but the lesson is there. We have the power to decide what anything means and how anything is going to affect us. Are you going to choose overwhelm or defeat? Are you going to choose resilience and courage? We always still have the power to change internally, to make those choices about what we're going to think, so that we can feel better. We can at least get to neutral, get our power back so that we can start seeing what we want to see and need to see to survive and continue to find success in our careers. Your happiness is the most important thing on this planet. And it's not just happiness for happiness' sake, but it's happiness because that is an internal state that has resilience as a natural byproduct. Living a life, having a career, making contributions, being part of a community that makes us happy, at least most of the time. Because I really believe that we're wired for community and contribution. And let's face it, my friends, that happens at work. We spend 90,000 hours in our lifetime, 30% at least of our life in the workplace. So it's important that it be a place that contributes to you as much as you contribute to it. Are you trying to build resilience because you're in a job search? Maybe you need resilience because your workplace is toxic. Maybe you're a new leader or a middle management leader who is trying to live with the balancing act of keeping your team happy and advocating for them and meeting the requirements of a leader inside your organization. Building resilience and connecting happiness into your work life, loving your work life, is a way for you to stay connected to who you are. You don't have to give anything up, but you can be happy and resilient and dedicated and all of the things that I know you strive to be in your career. All right, my friends, I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and please visit elissashuck-careercoach.com for more information about how I can help you with your career and leadership goals. Talk to you soon.